Nick speaking, and welcome to this video. Right, another update for the Space Wolves. So from the previous video, just in case you hadn't seen that, I was in a quandary what to do with my long fangs. I've got 4 squads of long fangs, 1 missile launcher squad, 1 las cannon squad, 1 plasma cannon squad, and 1 heavy bolter squad. Yes, I made these a long time ago, and no, they're not magnetised. So I was in a quandary because primarily I know that I really probably will only play missile launchers and maybe las cannons, possibly plasma cannons, almost definitely not heavy bolters. And I just wasn't quite sure what to do and how to proceed. I'd taken a lot of time and effort making these models. I think they look really cool, and I really like the heavy bolters, how they look, and I just wasn't sure what to do. So I was after feedback, and I got some great feedback. So thank you everyone who made comments on that video. That was really nice to see. But there was one commenter that just sealed the deal for me, really, that made the final decision, and that was from Mammoth Painting Studio. And Mike, he said, I always go with the rule of cool. That was his comment, and that really got me thinking, that comment, and I am going to do it. I'm going to go with the rule of cool. So I have decided that I'm not going to mess around with these models, ripping their guns off and changing the guns, because ultimately I think they look cool. And I think actually tactically I might actually be giving myself some good options. So this is the plan. I am going to make myself some more missile launcher guys. So I'm going to give myself the option to have 3 units of missile launchers, maybe with some las cannons thrown in. But I'm also going to give myself the option to have all the other units. Now, of course, we've got split fire with the Space Wolves, so that is always good. So if you do have a mixture of guns in your unit, you can always split fire and maybe have, for example, if I had say a couple of heavy bolters and a couple of las cannons in the same unit, you can at least split fire, assuming that the sergeant guy is still alive. But no, tactically, what I was thinking was I could potentially even use these heavy bolter guys as almost like just cannon fodder. So I could take like a cheap heavy bolter guy, and he could actually go in at the front of a unit. So I could have my like 4 las cannons, have my sergeant there, the pack leader, and then have a heavy bolter guy there, basically to take a few wounds, or take a wound. I mean, that is an option. And also potentially if I maybe want just a cheaper unit, I could use the heavy bolter guys as like a cheap unit. And actually I had a few of you commenting that actually heavy bolters, 4 heavy bolters is actually pretty good on the table for the points cost. So that's potentially an option. And also I was thinking tactically, if I have maybe some heavy bolter guys rather than las cannon guys, I could keep the heavy bolter guys on the objective. Maybe say have the las cannon guys not on the objective, giving my opponent some choices. Do they shoot the weaker guns which are on the objective, and then I've got the las cannons still there on the table shooting at them, or do they shoot the las cannons and obviously leave the other unit which is on the objective? So maybe offering a few choices. So I'm happy now. I'm in a good place. I've decided I'm going to keep all of those units as they are. I'm going to build myself another 8 missile launchers and another couple of pack leaders. I've had a look in my bits box, and I have found a few things. So I've managed to find myself. Let me just zoom in a bit here so I can hopefully get them to focus. Now, I've been collecting these missile launchers up over the last few years, because obviously I've always known that missile launchers are good for Space Wolves. So I've got 1. I've got this guy here, 2. Now obviously all I'm really interested in the missile launchers themselves, because obviously I do use lots of chaos bits, and I will be converting all the models up that I make to match in with. Let me just get one of these guys out. There we go. So for example, this guy here, he's got a chaos gun, chaos backpack, some Space Wolf stuff. So he's got a bit of a mix and match, so that's exactly what I'm going to be doing with these new guys. So got this missile launcher there. Got another crouching one there. And I've got 2 on sprues from some models that I was given by Martin Addy. 1 and 2. So I have 6 missile launchers already, so I only need 2 more, so that's what I need to search for. And there's one last thing that I want to talk about. So in the last video I said that I am going to paint these guys up in one go, going to do a massive batch paint. I have decided that that is ridiculous, even for IDICBeer. Yeah, no, that's, I mean, I've decided that's just really, really way too far out. You know, it's possible, it is doable, but it's going to take me a long time. If you consider that 10 guys, you know, it took me at least like 2, maybe 3 months to paint. I think painting all these guys in one go is just a bad idea. So, and also, I'm pretty confident that I can batch paint them in smaller units and still get them all looking the same. And I've painted 30 Space Wolves now, and I think I can get them all to the same standard without an issue, which is one reason why I like doing big batch paints, is I can get them all looking the same. And of course, if I'm going to introduce another 10 guys with all the missile launchers, you know, that's just a ridiculous amount of batch painting, so I'm going to drop that idea. And I've decided to batch paint them in literally in the units. So I'm going to start with, I'm going to put these aside, I'm going to start with the Last Cannon Squad. Now I may end up batch painting all the missile launchers together, but I thought I would start with the Last Cannon Squad. That gives me 4 Last Cannons and the Pat Leader to paint. That sounds a lot more sensible. I think I can do that quite easily, and there won't be too much pressure on it. Quite a nice little unit, and also means that I'll have a heavy support done and ready to play quite quickly. Whereas if I was batch painting like 30 guys, it's probably going to take me like 6 months, and I'm not going to have a heavy support unit to play in my army. So at least this way, I can get some Last Cannons for my army. You can't really go wrong with Last Cannons, and hopefully I'll be able to get them done a little bit more in a sensible time scale. And of course I've got lots of other projects on the go at the moment. So I've got my Dark Eldar, which I want to paint. Now that will be batch painted, and I've also got my Necron Vault and the Monolith to paint as well. So I don't want to overload myself too much by saying I'm going to batch paint like 30 guys. It's not going to happen. It's ridiculous, Nick. You know, so I've had a talk to myself, and I've gone against that idea. Okay, there was one very, very last thing that I wanted to say. Now, whilst I was in my case looking for my missile launchers, I came across these guys. Yes, my Wolverine. I'm excited. I am so excited by these guys. I really want to get these done, but I'm not. I am going to do at least one squad of Longfangs before I paint my Wolverine. I've got to get some heavy support in my army, because I just have no long-range anti-tank units in my army. So get some Longfangs done. And then it's on to the Wolverine. Exciting times. Really, really enjoying my Space Wolves. Certainly getting them painted anyway. As you know, I'm not a huge Space Marine player. But in terms of making the army and painting the army, I'm having an absolute blast. So, yeah, it's awesome. Right, that's it then for this little ramble. Thanks for watching, as always. And I'll see you in the next video.